Welcome to the Bio Show, where we talk about all things biology. Today we're going to be talking on Skype with Academy Award-winning actress Sophie and her surrogate Shayla. Now Shayla here has the miraculous job of carrying Sophie's baby. Today we'll be learning all about gestational surrogacy and the amazing process of it. There's actually been a few other celebrities who have used surrogacy, such as Jimmy Fallon, Elton John, Neil Patrick Harris, and Sarah Jessica Parker. Would you mind giving a brief explanation on surrogacy for those who don't know what it is?
Hi everyone, it's Sophie. And I'm Shayla, and yes, we can answer your questions. For the viewers who don't know, surrogacy is when another woman carries and gives birth to a baby for a couple who wants to have a child, but for whatever reason, the mother cannot properly develop or conceive a baby. It is also used to allow male gay couples to have a baby that is genetically one of their child, whichever one is the sperm donor. There are two types of surrogacy, which we'll get into later.
So Sophie, when do you think it's appropriate to use this process?
Well, I think that surrogacy may be appropriate if the woman has a medical condition that makes it impossible or dangerous to the mother or baby to get pregnant and to give birth, not for reasons like the mother doesn't want to have to go through childbirth.
Okay, what could be the reasons for impossible or dangerous pregnancy or childbirth?
A few reasons for this. The type of medical conditions that might make surrogacy necessary for you include absence or malformation of the womb, which there are many different kinds of, recurrent pregnancy loss, or repeated in vitro fertilization and implantation failures in that woman. I, for one, have a malformation of the womb, and that's why it's impossible for me to have a baby.
So sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you found another way. Are there any risks using this process?
There are a few minor risks for the aspiring parents, such as they can't exactly control the actions of the surrogate, and it's important to choose a good one that won't try to drink or smoke during her pregnancy. There's also a small chance that the surrogate mother could get attached to the baby and not want to give it up. We always make sure Shayla's on her best behavior.
Yes. And why do you think that surrogacy is a good option? What are the advantages?
Even though there are a few options such as adoption and in vitro fertilization for the parents that works for, I think that surrogacy is an amazing option because it still allows me and my husband to be the biological parents of our baby. It will have our genes and our physical similarities, and also we get the baby on day one when it's born, whereas adoption you'd have to wait and the baby would have grown up a little bit. You also get the assurance that the history of the child is good and will suit you, or else there could be some issues. You would also be aware of any hereditary issues like diseases that you may not be aware of through adoption. I think that the advantages for me are that I get paid well along with my maternity clothes, extra food, and all of my pregnancy needs. I also feel good about helping out a couple with receiving the gift of a baby when they cannot do that themselves. Science has created another way to receive this gift, and I think that it is so important to help couples create a family.
Very amazing. How exactly does this happen? How is the child still biologically two people's child when it is developed in another woman's body?
Well, there are two types of surrogacy, gestational and traditional. You're asking about gestational. Traditional works if the woman's eggs cannot produce a baby, but the man's sperm still works. The surrogate would be the biological mother of the child with the man being the father. This is done by the male donating his sperm and using in vitro fertilization on the surrogate. This can also work for two males wanting to have a child. Now what we're doing here is gestational surrogacy, and it consists of the eggs and the sperm of the actual parents. The embryo is created using the sperm from the biological father and an egg from the biological mother through the process of in vitro fertilization inside the surrogate's uterus. This way, the child will not have any biological relation with the surrogate because her eggs are not being used in any way. In both of these processes, fertilization is usually done by artificial insemination or intrauterine insemination, which means taking the embryo and implanting it into the uterus of the surrogate.
That's a very interesting process. Since the eggs and sperm cells are so fragile, is there anything that could go wrong? And what could be done to raise success rate of pregnancy in the surrogacy?
Okay. Well, I, of course, wanted to make sure it was a good option, and so I did a lot of research on that, actually. It is pretty hard to determine the success rate of surrogacy just because there are many different factors that could lead to failure. These consist of the surrogate's ability to get pregnant, the age of the egg donor if it was involved, successive procedures of IUI and IVF, and the quality of the gamete.
but the most important factor is the age of the surrogate. Usually you can make decisions to eliminate those risks by choosing a healthy surrogate, which we have, and my eggs are also not too old to be a danger.
Yes, nothing is ever 100%, even with couples who do not have fertility problems, so this is a great option.
Well, thank you for explaining to all of the viewers and I what surrogacy is. I think that it's great to get that out there for people who may need it and who don't really know much about it.
No problem. That's why I wanted to share with you all, to let everyone know there was multiple options.
No problem, and thanks for having us on your show.
Back to you, Bob.